Hey, Claire.
Hey, Lianna.
Is there a cat doing something funny in the background at your house?
Pooping.
Oh, that's not funny. That's necessary. Everyone
Necessary.
poops.
Did you hear the
Yeah, I was
knocking?
like, I was
Yeah,
like, what's happening over there?
happening. Yeah. We gotta cover it up. We
Of
gotta knock
course.
the box
Of course.
a
Of
little bit.
course. Of course.
Okay, crazy energy. How are you today?
I have crazy energy. It is a full moon, and I at this point get very affected by it. And now I'm 8 days into my first ever, and boy, oh boy, did I need it, apparently, liver
Yes.
detox.
Apparently, you very much needed it.
Oh my God, it is a hell that I was not expecting.
Okay, so explain why you needed it and what it entails.
Well, it was interesting. So when I was sick many, many, many moons ago,
Oh my
um,
God, did you almost fall?
like kind of, I mean, you guys, one of the things that's happening, like, let me just announce this now, is like my sleep has been really messed up. We like recorded
Uh-huh.
a podcast last Friday, and I was like, Claire, can we do it again? I don't feel good about how I showed up. And she was
No.
gracious enough to say yes.
Well, we
No, I
both were a
was
little out
sitting
of it.
like awkwardly, and then I put my
Okay.
leg down and it hit the desk, and
Okay.
you know.
There was like a jostle that looked as if you caught yourself from falling, so I had to call it out.
But honestly, if I do fall out of the chair, like, don't be surprised.
Oh my gosh. I'm putting that clip immediately online.
Please.
Oh my gosh!
It's no, I didn't. The chair is to be. Okay, this already is
Oh my
off
gosh.
to
If I didn't know you, I'd be like, that was planned. But I saw the fear in your face. I know that was real.
Okay,
Oh
this
my
one
gosh.
possibly might be more unhinged than the last one, but let's
It may
just keep
be.
going. I think we should
Let's
push
keep
through.
going. Let's
We
keep
should
going.
push through.
Let's go back
Okay, yeah. So let's go back. So when I
to the
was
liver
sick,
detox.
I was
Okay.
sick many, many moons ago. The
Yes.
wheels fell off in every area of my life, pretty much.
Yeah.
But one of the things that happened was that I got melasma, which I still have to this day. It's hyperpigmentation. A lot of women get it during pregnancy. They sometimes call it like pregnancy mask. And it's one of those weird things they know is due to hormones, but most doctors don't really know how to get rid of it if you don't.
Right.
If you're not pregnant, I've seen so many dermatologists that are like, try this laser. So I did all that. Nothing happened. Nothing helped.
You did the lasers. And
I did. Okay. I did lasers. I did peels. I did whitening creams. Like, because when I was still acting, this was like the bane of my existence, right?
Yeah.
And it was one of those funny things. I have to laugh about like how the world is, right? Because I spent so many years like hating my body. And then I like finally got to a place where I felt like neutral and good. It was nice to myself. And then my face started turning funny colors. And I was like, wait, I just got okay. And now I get to hate my face, which I previously liked. Like what?
No.
Being a woman.
No.
Being a woman.
Being
So I did all the things for many years. And I remember I went down a rabbit hole that correlated adrenal fatigue to melasma. And adrenal fatigue is not recognized in like regular Western medicine, but functional, they do, where essentially it happens after periods of stress where you have like your cortisol levels are really, really high for a long time. And then your adrenal glands make cortisol. So if they're taxed, if they're making too much cortisol for an extended period of time, it's almost like, spraining your ankle or something. It's like, it ends up being exhausted. You make less. Your cortisol's all over the place. You're exhausted, and it can get to the point where it stops making it. And I believe that's called Graves' disease. Let me just Google it.
I've heard of that. I don't know what it is, but I've heard the term.
No, that's hyperthyroidism. I get it confused. When does I think maybe Addison's? Let me see. Addison's disease.
I don't know that.
Yes, Addison's disease. Okay.
That's it.
I get it. Them confused. Yeah, because Graves is thyroid. Great. Anyway, so it makes too little cortisol, essentially. So I was on my way to that, and I had to like stay in bed for the better part of a year and take herbs. And later and later, the melasma started, tiny point in my cheek, and then it's on both cheeks, and then used to be all over my forehead.
It did. Okay, can I just say the way that it is now, which is very hard to see, but you
Yeah.
pointed it out to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is underneath your cheekbone. So
Yes.
really it's as if you're contoured.
Yes, I have natural, quite aggressive
Which is
contouring on both
right.
of my.
So if you're gonna have it, you got it in a good place.
That's true. One time I had a makeup artist tell me I had the prettiest melasma she'd ever seen.
Yes, it's
like,
beautiful. It really
if
is.
I'm going to do it, and no, and it like it's not. It's one of those silly things that most people probably don't notice, but you see like everything else.
Of course, yeah.
And so it started to go. It eventually went away from my forehead, but then never from my cheeks. So I was talking to an herbalist earlier this year who was like, it may just be that your liver, where she asked me if I was ever on the pill, and boy, was I ever, 10 years.
Yeah.
She was like, your liver may have never like fully detoxed from like being on the pill for so long. And like, as we know, my body is the most sensitive that's ever been invented.
It's the most sensitive, Lord.
So she kind of planted the seed. And then the beginning of this year, and I wanted to come on and talk about this more coherently than I did last week, because this is kind of the basis of what I preach, and I'm practicing what I preach, guys, but it's for a good reason.
Yes.
So basically, the beginning of this year, after last year being really, really stressful, and also like I was a little bit more careless with my body, I had a moment where I was a little bit mad at myself a couple weeks ago, but honestly, I think it was necessary.
It was necessary.
It was so necessary. Spring break Lianna needed to come out.
She needed to have Portugal. That.
It needed to happen. But the beginning of this year, it all kind of caught up with me. I had put on, not a lot of weight, but my body was feeling different. I was feeling inflamed. Like I can tell when I'm a little bit inflamed and I have extra weight due to that.
Sure.
And I just was tired. And I think we all feel tired in January, right? A little bit like after the holidays.
God, yes.
So,
January and February.
And then it was March. And then it was April. And then I'm like, gee, wow, I'm just tired. Like I'm more tired. And I don't really want to do that much. And I did. And one of the things, and this is why I really like the sugar detox, is it's a really good indicator of how your body's doing in terms of inflammation. Or, you know what I mean? So if you have like just general inflammation from your diet and stress, it's really good. It helps like really reduce that quickly. But I did it and nothing really changed in my body. And so that was the first thing where I was like, there's something else going on. I think there's something else going on. And I was finding myself like really reacting differently to alcohol than I was. So I just had this hunch about my liver. And then I saw an acupuncturist who confirmed it. And then just in the service of like being a good person, I finally got like good insurance here. So the beginning of this year, I got a GP here and I started just doing all of the tests I could possibly do.
Yes.
And somehow I found a GP that actually has studied functional medicine. So she did some more comprehensive testing, which was great. And she confirmed my liver's like a little bit sluggish and needs some love. And then also my thyroid for the first time in my life was a little bit slow, which I want to say, obviously, those are not fun things to hear as someone who like prides themselves on taking care of their body, though I didn't do the best job last year because I was too busy having fun.
Typically, but last year, your focus was a bit elsewhere.
It was. But still, I eat really healthy. I was just drinking more, just being out late. Yes. And
just a lot of stress and a lot of
it was a lot. Like the last 3 months that was the most stressful period of my life. And they always talk about with the women, after huge stressful periods, you want to look at the adrenals or the thyroid, because a lot of women get hypothyroid after stress. So it's pretty common. And to be fair, I looked at my test and my thyroid numbers are normal, but they're high for functional range. So normal looks for lack of disease. And this is why we like functional medicine, where functional numbers are looking at optimization. So when you're looking at functional numbers, you're catching things earlier, so you don't have to get sick, right? So your thyroid doesn't, break, or your adrenals don't break, quote unquote, which is not a thing, but you know what I mean. So seeing my thyroid, it's like, okay, I don't need to go on medication. I just need to supplement with stuff like selenium. I need to, rest more. The same with my liver. I don't need medication. I need to like change up a little bit of what I'm doing in my body. So I also saw this other functional medicine doctor here who prescribed me this liver detox that is, I looked it up. I was looking inside these 4 like 4 bottles of this like herb company. They're liquid from Portugal. There 2 are sort of based on like gut health and like cleansing and elimination. The other 2 are liver. And they're a combination of, I did the best I could to translate. And some of the stuff I just didn't know, they're like herbs, but things like thistle and artichoke and ginger and walnut and Queen of the Meadows.
Absolutely. My favorite of the herbs.
Linden sapwood.
Oh, my second favorite.
Some black currant, if you will.
Oh, don't get me started.
I know. So I'm taking a whole, and then things like copper and chromium and stuff. I was like, all right, so I'm really taking a whole array of minerals and herbs and vitamins. And he had me put 15 milliliters, which don't even ask me how to translate that into whatever, into 150 milliliters of water, and drink it throughout the day. So and he had me, and I have a better way of talking about this week too.
I love this.
He had me go on, he said, a light FODMAP diet, which is a type of elimination diet that, and this is the thing where I really fucked it up last week, where she's like, what does it stand for? And I'm like, it stands for fermentable oligosaccharides, disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polys, which are types of
that.
I know. This is why I was like, it's like oleo. I'm like, I need to sound a little bit more like I know what I'm talking about, because I do.
No, but this doesn't, that's not language.
I know.
That's just like syllables and letters.
So essentially, those are a type of carbohydrate that resists digestion. So if you have IBS, or if essentially you have some sort of dysbiosis or maybe leaky gut or something's going on in your gut, it can cause like bloating and gas and discomfort. So it is an elimination diet that sometimes people will put, doctors will put people on, or nutritionists who are having some gut issues. I tend to do things a bit more bio-individual, but it is, you are avoiding like wheat and cauliflower and beans and hummus and stuff like that. But it's funny, I looked at the list and it's like 1 glass of wine. You can have saccharin. I was like, when did this?
What is this?
Because the doctors were like this older guy. And I was like, I think you need to update this, because some of this is just bad. Yeah.
It's like, well, it may not fall under whatever you're avoiding, but it still isn't good.
Yeah, some of the stuff I was like, this is just not a good idea, period. Like, at least you were going to give examples, give like good ones.
Healthy examples. Well, and the tea you've been drinking, it's the liquid, whatever, but you said it just kind of tastes like a weak tea.
Yeah,
like
it's actually not
offensive.
I was really worried, because he showed me, he's like, you'll have to drink this all day. And it looks like urine, essentially.
It does look like urine.
And I have to drink like 2 of these a day, essentially. Yeah. And it's nice. It sort of is like a little bit floral and kind of tastes like weak tea. So it's not, but man, I didn't know, because I've never done one. And I don't do much with herbs with clients. I'll, refer them out.
Right. Sure. That's a whole other language.
Yeah. Some health coaches are really good at that stuff. That is not my forte. So I do, food related things. Yeah. I did not know what I was in for. And the thing with liver detox, so I have to do this for 3 weeks, and it causes sleep disturbances. So that's fun.
That's what everyone wants.
Oh, yeah.
Just like disturb my sleep, please.
And then mood stuff, right?
Even better.
So the first few nights, I was having the craziest anxiety, and I was like, what the heck is going on? And gut issue, all the things. And it's evened out. Well, actually, 2 days ago, I texted him, the doctor. And I was like, hey, so I'm a weekend, and I'm still like having flu-like symptoms. Because like the first day, I sort of felt like I had the flu.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty tired, and I'm not sleeping. Like, is this normal? And he's like, why don't you half what you're taking? I was like, okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess, shocker to nobody, I'm reacting in a big way.
In a big way. Super sensitive.
But
now you're halfway through, essentially.
I have like 2 more weeks. Yeah, in a day or 2 I'll be halfway through. And it's been incredible. And
how has it been incredible? Because it sounds pretty miserable if you're moody, feel like flu, and not sleeping well.
My brain is so clear.
Wow.
And I feel after the after the anxiety after the first couple nights, and I realized it wasn't me, and that's gone now. Like actually today I was feeling a bit agitated, but some of it, it's like, I think when you don't sleep very well for a whole week, I was thinking about you too, because I've been like a little bit mindlessly scrolling, and I was like, I can see how you fall into these holes when you're extra tired. Like social media is like, come here, you're sleepy.
And you can just, it's such a weird state in between awake and asleep.
It is. Like, and you're like
kind of zoned.
It feels like a zombie, and it like sucks you in. So I was having a lot more compassion for when we were doing
finally.
I'm so harsh, and I have no compassion.
So you just don't understand it all.
I never do. I'm a bitch. I am a big mean bitch.
No, but it is a weird zone when you're super
and it's
tired.
Hard to, you're like, get out, I don't care, why am I watching, like
just go to bed, put it down and just go to bed. You can't, you're powerless sometimes.
It's such a drug. It is such a drug. But and it made me really, I feel really happy that I've done it, because I've gotten so much, I feel very clear. My brain feels clearer than it's been in a really long time. And I feel after the first few days, and yes, I'm having moments of feeling like agitated kind of with my body and frustrated.
Yeah.
So much creativity, literally so much creativity, so much desire to like read and learn and make things. I've been painting like crazy. What? So much more connected to my intuition, like literally left and right, do this and the right thing, like the things that are showing up, and so much love, Claire. So much optimism and love. Oh my God.
Wait, I love this.
And the other night, because I don't sleep well with the moon, I'm very sensitive to the moon. So I now know what the difference between like my own anxiety and like full moon energy is like.
Yeah.
So I was having full moon energy the other night. And in the past, it would wake me up and I would have anxiety, right? You start like worrying about the things you worry about. You know what happened? I just was feeling, I woke up and I was just feeling warm, radiating light out of my heart into like all of the people I had talked to that day, just into my life. And then I cannot, though I feel like I'm in this like sort of sleepy, like because my sleep's been a little bit compromised, I'm like a little bit more dreamy when I'm awake than I normally am. And that's kind of my state anyway. So I feel like I'm becoming more of a Looney Tune. But today I have a cleaning lady that comes twice a month. And like the last thing I want to do is like get out of bed and leave. But she was here this morning. So I like get my gym clothes on and I'm like, I'm going to go to the gym, because one of the things I got yelled at was for when I went to the doctor was not having enough muscle, which with women can mess up your testosterone levels. And she was like, your testosterone's a bit low because you don't have it. She's like, all you need to do is actually go to the gym more and like lift 3 times a week.
I know. That's the thing is lifting weights is essential for women.
Oh my God, especially as you age, especially. And I was like going to bar but the thing is I've been doing tons of yoga the whole time. And I started doing more bar, and she was like, and I'm so strong in yoga. No, it doesn't matter. She was like, go lift heavy weights. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So I did it yesterday for the first day a little bit. And boy, am I in yoga shape. I went to the gym and I'm like, oh my God, I've been doing yoga and it shows. And this is why we need a balance also.
Of course.
So today I was like, I am going to, I'll you know, whatever, I'll push through. I'll just do a little bit of gym. It'll feel good. I'll like, because like, you know, sometimes when you work out, it helps you sleep better.
Yeah.
So I'm like trying to do something. And if you go to Lisbon and all, which I know you do, but maybe some of our listeners do not, it is so hilly.
It's so hilly.
It's so San Francisco hilly, but like worse.
But worse. I was going to say worse than San Francisco, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not, San Francisco has like a couple giant hills.
Yeah.
I feel. And Lisbon's just always at a grade.
Yes.
Like, up or down. Like there's no flat ground.
There's not a lot of flat.
No.
And I live at the top floor that is, you know, a walk up. And top
floor?
4.
Fifth?
4.
4. Okay.
But that's, you know, different 4. That's 5 in European, you know, because 0 floor, right?
Okay.
I was going to say in our money, which is when I was living in the UK, my ex-boyfriend would always be like, I'd always ask what the temperature was, and he'd have to translate it to Fahrenheit for me.
Fahrenheit.
Because I still don't understand. I mean, I understand Celsius, but I can't make the connection. I think like 30 and 90 are the same, but that's about it.
0 and 32.
30. Yeah. But then,
right, freezing.
Right. Someone's like, it's 16, and you're like, okay.
What?
So I'd always be like, and I'm a lady, so I'm like, what kind of sweater how many jackets do I need? And he'd be like, it's 20. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. And he's like, okay, it's blah, blah, blah in your money. So everything's a money translation, even though it's not. Which again, I'm sorry, I haven't slept a lot. We're going on side tangents that aren't even interesting. So
I'm sorry, even when you have slept and I've slept, we still go on side tangents. So let's just forget about apologizing for that.
Oh my God, I reconnected with one of my best friends, and we leave each other really long voice notes, but we sort of had been not speaking for a couple of months for no good reason. But seasons, right? And I have been leaving her 7 and 9 and 12-minute voice notes because that's the kind of friend I am.
Personal podcast.
Yeah. And she's like, we've been doing this for years. Why are you saying sorry? Like, I know who you are.
Exactly.
I forgot.
That's like me apologizing for not responding quicker.
Right. Or like,
it's like, no, we get it.
Like, I know who you are.
Or no, like days later, it's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I totally thought I replied, or I missed this, or whatever. And it's like, whatever. It doesn't matter. Just
remember when you had the phase of the phantom emails?
I forgot about that.
Thank God it stopped.
That was so crazy. Wait, that was so crazy. There were a few. Okay, so there were a few.
I saw the look in your eye. You're like, I sent a response, or I did it, and you didn't.
There was I want to say it happened maybe like 6 or 7 times.
Yeah,
maybe.
And you were like, I believed you. You're like, no, I sent this email, and you're like, where did it go?
I did. I sent multiple emails. It always was at night, and they were from my phone.
Oh,
not on my laptop.
Yeah. Right.
But from my phone, and I remember
that would be hard to fuck up on your laptop. I mean, I guess you can get distracted doing anything though. Or
I'm not kidding. There was nothing different in my world. I was typing. I remember even one specific one where I challenged what I was saying, or I thought, it's like, I remember not just like, oh, I thought I replied, more like I remember thinking about what I was saying.
Yeah.
And then being like, okay, this is good. I'll send it.
Yeah.
And that happened to you. It happened to multiple people for off and on for about a month.
Yeah, that was
and it just never was sent. Not in my draft folders, not in my sent, nothing. Yeah,
it was just gone. So odd.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know which left turn we took to get here, but thank God it's over. Thank God it's over. What a traumatic period in our lives.
What a traumatic. Well, it was stressing me out because I was like, oh my God.
You're like, am I losing my mind?
Losing my mind. But anywho, go ahead.
Okay, so I live on the top floor on the top of a hill.
Yes.
So if I go anywhere, there's part of my neighborhood that's a little flat, but if I go anywhere, I'm going downhill and then coming uphill. So I leave my apartment and then I'm like, I don't want to walk downhill. So I walk a little bit uphill and I was like, I'll just go I wanted to be in the sun, and there's this really beautiful lookout point right near me. So I'll go there and I'll walk the long way to the gym. And I go there. I'm like, I don't even want to walk downhill. I don't want to go to the gym. So I have this incredible moment where, and this is what's so interesting. It's like, I don't know. I'm so grateful for this experience. And this is why I love the detox. And this is, I think, also why my work started to change when I would offer the detox to clients as over time. Cause I realized the root cause is never I just don't know that sugar is bad. No. And I can't, it's always stress or something else. So when we would approach the detox, it was always this exercise in awareness. So you're not just thinking about food and paying attention to food, but you're thinking about how everything you put your body makes you feel for a short period of time. So it's really a beautiful pause where you're being more intentional about how you feel. And again, I say this all the time, right? But you can't really tell the difference. It's a consciousness tool. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's hard. It's not when you are listening to your body to see if cheese gives you a stomachache or not, you cannot filter out, oh my God, I'm sad because I don't like my job or whatever it is, right?
Right.
When you tune in that way, which most people don't because life is busy and we have devices that are very addictive, and who wants to feel their feelings anyway, right? But when you start to tune in that way, you learn stuff about yourself and things change. So this has been and I haven't done anything like this ever. And this is different than the detox. And because I don't eat that much crap anymore, the detox doesn't really affect me that profoundly. But I think my liver has been kind of slow for a long time because I think of the pill and hormones and it being, and then obviously like, life and wine and all of the above. So this has been really impacting me, but I cannot believe how much it's affected my brain. And it's this really interesting dichotomy of clarity and creativity. I feel like I've opened every time, and I say this with a grain of salt though, like it's increased my awareness or expanded my consciousness essentially of how I see the world. And I was walking around today and it was so incredibly beautiful. I'm sitting on a bench. It's like 70 degrees and sunny, perfect temperature. There's an older guy playing acoustic guitar just beautifully. And I'm just sitting there looking at where I am, like nearly sobbing, like wanting to weep, feeling moved to tears because what is this life? Like, how did I get here? This is so beautiful.
Yeah.
And like, I was feeling so tired in my body because the detox is feeling a lot like, when you're, you feel yourself like coming down with the flu and you start to feel really drained, but your body is like fighting. You feel like there's like a war being going on that you're not aware of inside of your body. And you're just like, hey guys, I hope we win.
Yeah. Good luck to you.
Right. So that's been going on. But I was sitting there and I was like, it's made me so much more slow because I'm tired, but also so much more, I feel like my body has been slowed down, but like my brain and what I see and experience has been almost like I took blinders off.
Yeah.
And then I really had to pee because all I'm doing is drinking tons of liquid.
It's so much liquid.
So after like 30 minutes, and I was like trying to listen to a podcast, I had a book, and all I could do was like sit and be present. And it just felt incredible. And I was like having so much, again, like profound love and gratitude. And there's this church I've found myself in now, like a number of times recently. And like, I didn't grow up religious. I am not, religious. I, we talked about this, like became spiritual through my healing journey because, meditation really changed my nervous system. And obviously, much like anything else, right? You start to listen and you find more than you bargained for. Like, oh, life is different than I thought. But anyway, there's this church and it's like within 10 minutes of me. And it's so incredible. I meant to like look up the name and see how old it is, but
I'm sure you could just zoom in on Google.
Yeah. Anyway, I can put it in the show notes. I can tell you what it is afterwards, but it's around the corner. Okay. And it's often open and like you can go and tour it and there's like a little museum. And I was like, oh, well, I think there's probably a bathroom like attached to this church. But then I went in and every time it blows my mind. And yes, I studied art history in college. I like to paint. I am a nerd. I half moved to Lisbon because it's full of pretty colors and that just makes me happy.
Of course.
But it's like floor to ceiling art and paintings, and the mural on the ceiling is incredible. And like everything is gold and everywhere you look, there is something. And I just sat there in a pew again for like the better part of 20 minutes before like wandering around to other parts and looking at more art. And again, was like feeling I was like, wow, this is in my neighborhood. Like, I think as an American, like, I'm sure Europeans are like, whatever, who cares? But like, I'm sure if you like, grew up in Rome, right? Or Paris, you're like, right, this is nothing. But this is so incredible. And it was like, just so feeling such like happiness and gratitude. And this, and I think that these types of things for everyone are so beautiful as a reset or as a point to like slow down and see how you feel and pay attention to your life. Because when you do, take some intention into your day or into it doesn't even have to be a food thing, really. It could be anything, right? Like maybe you want to start a new project, or you want to write every day or paint every day or move every day in a new way, or like something where you're doing something with intention and being more present every day. It really opens yourself up, and it was really wild because the first a couple days when I was so incredibly anxious, I was like, okay, why? And I uncovered something before I realized it was the detox. And it's interesting because this at the end of the day is what I'm building the formula platform about. But I had this huge shift last week, which also makes me realize maybe why I'm feeling so much like love and gratitude, is that so much of the work I do, and we're going in this direction, like I can't help it. The train is out of the station. I'm like the gate, the train gate, sure. Horse, trains, whatever. And for better or worse, through the work that I've done, and I had to, right? Like when I was so sick and we didn't know why, I don't know who else, my parents, I don't know who's included in that more than one me. My team. Collective, my internal family system inside of me. Exactly. Well, it's true. I did have a team and no one knew what was going on. Yeah. I just had to feel my way into getting better. And because people are telling me a whole bunch of stuff that wasn't working. Mm-hmm. And now I know, and everyone has a different relationship to this, but your body knows more than your mind does, right? Your body is always, we talk about your nervous system being in your entire body, your enteric nervous system feeling things. Your body knows best. So over the years, especially with meditation, as I've gotten more embodied and more connected to myself, I've started to make more decisions based on intuitively how I feel versus rationality. Because again, like, you know, even getting divorced went against everything. Like I had gotten to a point in my life where everything that I thought to do that I thought would make me happy wasn't. So I had to give up on that line of thinking because I was like kind of beating my head against the wall. Mm-hmm. And it's really interesting because so slowly over time, I've just been sort of leading with my gut more than my brain. And as a very like hyper feeling person, it's right for me. But I realized last week, as I'm sitting in this like crazy anxiety, feeling really strange from this detox, I'm like, why is there such like, what am I fighting against? Because I felt like there was like these two parts of me going at each other. And one was, because now I can't help it. I literally can only do what feels like kind of aligned or right in my body or good to my gut, like I can't do anything outside of that. Even if you want me to, I can't do it. Like being out of alignment is so uncomfortable to me. I cannot. But there's still a part of me that has a brain that is judging and yelling at me for doing stuff that's irrational. And I realized it's gotten like it used to be my brain running the show, my body, like me listening to my intuition sometimes. And it's sort of changed where it's like my intuition has gotten bigger and bigger. My brain's gotten tinier and tinier in terms of like, well, hopefully not. We're still learning. Hopefully my brain's not tiny.
Let's not say that. I think that went too far.
The influence of my brain, the influence of my thoughts carry less weight.
Nothing has to shrink. Nothing has to shrink.
Nothing has to shrink. Yes, please don't. But the influence of my thoughts have had less impact than the influence of my sort of knowing, my intuitive, your intuition. My sensing.
Yeah.
And it's gotten so much that like my intuition is running the show, but there's still a part of my brain's like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Stop it. Why are you doing that? So I'm at inner odds because often I'm doing things my brain's like, doesn't make sense. Like moving to Portugal for no reason, which best idea. Like even yesterday I was on a walk with my friend Kim and it was like, we're just walking around being like, this is the best idea I ever made. I love this place. I love it. And we were like walking by the water and I was so happy. And it was so interesting. So in this moment, I haven't slept. I'm full of anxiety. I'm like, I'm trying to be with what is, right? Because as we know, through our trauma healer that we both work with, Ching, he teaches us how to like go head first into our feelings. Yes. So we don't just have to sit with this discomfort. So here I am having all these tools being like, anxiety, what do you have to tell me? And it presented to me these two kind of, warring factions inside of me that were at odds. And I was like, this is scary to let go of the brain part and just trust that I know what's best. But I kind of reviewed a lot of the decisions that I make that were so like gut based, and they've been some of the best decisions I've ever made. Hands down, they have been. Hands down.
Kind of, yeah.
And it was interesting. I was like, okay, this thing, I'm creating this anxiety internally because I'm fighting against myself. What if for my birthday,
which is just around the corner.
Or will have happened by the time this comes. Well, just happened, I think, by the time we release this. I will just trust myself. I was like, for the rest of April, I will just trust. And can I tell you, in letting go, I didn't realize how much of a hold that fear and stress and self doubt and lack of trust and that last bit had over me. And I was saying this to someone the other day. I think that the reason I'm feeling all this love is I think what's underneath it always is love. Like, right? We're always, I think, things are either you're coming from a place of love or fear. And in releasing that fear, I feel so much lighter. And even though I feel kind of like crap and I'm having these days where I feel kind of cranky or I feel like my body's like,
Yeah.
it's the amount of like love and expansion and like the amount of writing I'm doing, the ideas, the creativity. 10 out of 10, guys. It's awful and amazing. And I highly recommend doing a liver detox or something where you are taking stimulants out of your life and bringing yourself back to just you and taking really good care of yourself.
Very much like the sugar detox.
Very much.
It's just when that's something you need. Like that wasn't necessarily working for you when you revisited that this year, because that wasn't necessarily what you needed. But yeah, when I do the sugar detox, because I fill my body with sugar every day.
You and so many others.
I have the same. Yeah, it's like I feel like a new person. Like I'm so much more open. I'm clear. I'm all of the things.
Yeah. So let me be an example, guys. No, and the cool thing is I realized I've done so much work to get in touch with my body. I knew something was off. And I intuited it was my liver. Like anytime
but even if you haven't done as much work, you still know when something's off with your body.
Absolutely. And
right?
that's
like you're super sensitive and you're very knowledgeable. But I think even those of us who aren't paying as much attention and aren't as sensitive, we still know.
And the thing is, I was like that. And the only reason I know is because I just started to pay more attention.
Exactly.
And that's why I'm saying this. It's like and the reason I'm saying this, right, is because I just started to listen and trust it more and more. And the cool thing about that, and this is why it's so important, and this is also why I tell people to get more comprehensive testing, is you can catch things earlier and prevent disease.
Yeah.
And literally, though, like I could, if I wasn't careful and I didn't turn the ship around now, I could end up with Hashimoto's in a year, which is hypothyroidism, which means I would have to be on medication for maybe the rest of my life. But we caught it very early. I can just take some selenium, support my thyroid, make some lifestyle choices for a few months. And there's a good chance everything's going to turn around, right? Yeah. So your body is always trying to give you a signal. Listen, 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 listen. And the other part of this, which is so interesting, is I always think there is a bigger part of it that is, at this point, I see this a lot myself, my clients. When your body's asking you to slow down, yes, often it's to heal, but the amount of clarity and ideas and growth and introspection that's happened in this period, I feel already very grateful for it.
There we go.
And it's going to contribute in a massive way to this new thing I'm building. So part of me is like, okay, fine. My body's like, you need to slow down and be sober for an extended period of time. Because you actually have this thing to build and this creativity and this energy to come through and, to write something. Like, this is what we're asking of you. So, like, don't even worry about that this other stuff is happening. Sit down and, like, use all this new creative energy and this clarity and all these ideas that are coming through. And that, to me, is also so exciting and so profound. So, being, having those moments where you are fatigued or you do get sick, there are gifts in those moments as well, even though they feel terrible. And I was getting a whole bunch of ultrasounds done on my abdomen, which was really scary a couple weeks ago when we figured out my liver and my thyroid were a little bit compromised. And you could see she found something on my liver and you could tell.
Oof.
And you could tell.
That feeling when they go a little quiet and they start writing stuff and
oh my God. And she's like, you have a spot on your liver. And she then was typing and taking pictures of the imaging. And I knew. And I was watching, I was getting more upset and more afraid. And then I just laid there and I let go. And I just started to be like, okay, I tend to assume everything's happening for me, not to me. And I was like, when you got sick last time, it was the best thing that's ever happened to you. Because it gave you purpose, it changed your career, it taught you about your body, gave you tools to help a lot of other people and like the passion for it. So if for some reason you're really sick now, it's maybe to make you even better. So what if we can just, and I started to be like, well, I've had a
Right.
good life and I've really gone after everything. And maybe that's why I never had kids. And like, I love my family and look what I did. And like, maybe I always say this. I'm
You
like,
went to
I went
quite the
there.
extreme.
Oh, I went
Yeah.
there. I was like, we know, I mean, 50-50, death is awesome. We don't know. So I'm like, maybe it's really cool after you die. Who knows?
Okay, sure. I
just
can't
laid there and I was like-
subscribe to that. But yeah, go ahead.
But like, it could be. Who knows?
It could be. Listen, who am I to argue? I'm just scared of it.
50-50. It could be nothing. It could be terrible, or it could be the best thing ever.
It's so true.
So like, why be afraid of it? So I just laid there and I was like, oh. But it was funny. I had that moment of gratitude for even when I was quite ill, because it did give me so much. So I'm feeling a lot of just like love and gratitude and peace and a really big perspective shift through me. And maybe my liver was so toxic that my brain is not working, but I don't think so.
Confirm?
Yeah.
Can you just confirm that you're okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just say it, because you kind of went with like the extreme, and then
I was like, and I might be dying, guys. So this is actually
no.
I just
want to
no, I did
we're all okay.
find that I have a benign tumor in my liver, but they were so nonchalant. They're like, 1 in 4 people. I did research, like 1 in 4 people have it. We don't know where it comes from. It doesn't really affect you, but there were 2 reasons for it. You can be born with it.
Okay.
And the other, it can come from the pill. And I suspect, because I had such a reaction to the pill and because of my melasma, I think, and this is why, again, it backs up. I wasn't that surprised because it backs up my theory around the hormones that I've talked to other people about as well, is that I think it's all related to my body just not being able to detox fast enough from all the hormones I was putting in my body for such a long time. Plus stress, plus alcohol, plus, living in New York City, all of that, I think combined and was the perfect storm. So, but yeah, she was like, well, we'll monitor it, but she goes, I see a few of these every day. It's nothing big, but you hear, it was funny. The woman was like, when she was doing the ultrasound, was like, and then she was like, can you move? And she was going over the same spot. She goes, are you in pain right now? And then she was like, made me move. She's like, are you in pain now? And I'm like, no. She's like, are you taking medication? And I'm like, no. And then you can tell she's like, what is this? And I was like, fuck, what is wrong with me?
Well, of course your brain's going to be like, and I'm dead. Literally.
Every organ is riddled with cancer.
Literally, it's been a great life. See you later.
I'm like, I'll go see my mom and dad. Like, maybe I have a month to live.
Right.
I like went
You're
there.
like planning
really
your end of life.
I was like, I don't care what happens. I just want to, maybe go to Maine in the summer. And like, it was, it was really interesting though. The one thing I felt like I had to do was, there was like a voice that was like, finish the formula.
Yeah.
It's like, what? To like put it out into the world. I was like, okay, this is crazy. But it was like,
confirm the formula is this new project that you are working on, and we keep mentioning it, and we mentioned it in a different podcast, but I just wanted to clarify.
The formula is the 3rd iteration of a class that I used to teach a million years ago in New York around nutrition for optimization, which then was the basis for my group program for women that has now become this more, it's so interesting. It almost like, did you ever I took a producing class, and have you ever talked about like when you're self-producing, they're like, don't be the creator and the producer at the same time. Let the creative thing go. And then they always would talk about when you started to make your movie, because it was like a movie production class, because I made a movie in my 20s. They're like, it's going to be its own thing. Like you maybe give birth to the idea, and then it becomes, you put it out and it starts to become its own thing.
Well, it's kind of like the kill your darlings. It's like we have to be able to look at it outside of the creative eye in order to produce the best outcome.
Yes. So I feel like this is sort of taking on its own. I got very clear about like the 4 phases when I really have been, because I've been in this space for, looking at human behavior for 20 years, in the health space for over 10, really looking at connection to self as being like the core of what makes people happy and healthy and how to support that. So really it is sort of combining physical, mental health and empowering connection to self, to get people optimized in their life, but also, I mean, in their bodies, but also in their lives, because now we know there's really no difference, right? If you don't like how you spend all your time, you'll get sick. And if you're sick, it's going to be really hard to do things that you love, right? So we need to look at all areas. So really looking at what's the easiest way to give people tools and resources to do that at a very low cost. Because growing, and again, like I'm someone who has so many tools, but through my stages of life, like I'm here again where I'm not like 100% healthy. I know exactly what to do. I mean, and to the point where I'm like, I don't know what's going on, so I'm going to get help, because you do. I'm going to go to the doctor. I'm going to get more tests. I'm going to figure out, and then I'm going to, I'm going to take that and run with it, and really like double down on what I need to be doing to feel better. And so, why are we talking about this? I was explaining.
I just wanted to, you said before you die.
Oh yeah,
you have to finish the formula. And I just wanted to confirm that's something you're working on, and it will be coming soon, and it's part of your offerings. And things. But anywho, it's
going to be the next iteration of what I'm offering, and I'm so excited about it. And that was the one thing. That was the only thing I had to do before I died. I was like,
listen,
how dramatic! How dramatic!
If that's not like a life purpose, I don't know.
I know. I know. I guess it is. I mean,
well, it backs up your belief in it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it was. I was like, wow. And I was sort of like, I can have Lianna do it if I need, or, you know what I mean? She understands. I'll give her like my notes and she'll have to make it or something.
Right. But just make sure it gets handed off.
I'm like, hand it off to someone, put it out into the world. And I was like, well, someone thinks very highly of what she's making, apparently. But anyway, so I am, high on life a little bit, and chromium and Queen of the Meadow.
No, absolutely.
How are you doing, my love?
Well, if you can't tell, I'm a little sick.
There's a little bit of a stuff going on in the back.
Yeah, I'm not that. I feel like this is definitely more allergies, because I'm always anytime I start to get sick, it's always sinuses. But this has been less. I'm very tired, but I don't feel sick.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'm on day 4 of not being able to breathe, and just like waking up with like crusty snot drip from my nose. You know what I mean? It's just like coming out. I can't do anything about it. I've been taking something. I need to go. I'm going to go to the Chinese medicine place today and be like, no, but herbs. Truly.
You're like, can I have some Queen of the Meadows, or maybe some
I need Queen of the Meadows stat. So anyhow, it's annoying because it's very, I'm just drippy, but in general, feeling okay.
Yeah.
Besides, tired.
Let me just interrupt everything you're trying to say.
No.
I was going to say, well, you're a bit run down because you've had a lot going on. I mean, since we last talked, you wrapped a film you were doing set design on. You had an exciting tea party. You had a birthday. Happy belated.
Thank you.
There's been a lot. And then it seems like, and I'd love to check in on this too.
And directing.
Right. You're directing UCB on top of that. And then it was really interesting to have you hear about, because part of the reason you're still in New York is because of this film.
Yeah.
And as soon as that was gone, all of a sudden you had all these thoughts about LA. So like there's a lot happening here.
It's a lot. So so it feels very, I've been in this growth and challenging couple years. We know this, but I feel like now is finally the time, which, Lord, I've said that how many times I know, but like
have you? I'm not sure you have.
I don't know if I have, actually. I say that. I think I've just been talking about like, I need to.
Yeah.
It's like,
I'm not sure you're like saying now is the time.
Right. Well, so the timeline of things last year, early summer, maybe, is when I was like,
that's when you, that was so funny. Because over your dead body, you were never going to leave New York City. You were going to live there to the day you die.
Yes. And also hate LA. I was like, no way.
Never.
I would never. So I think
You were
it was
so cute too.
beginning of
You're
last
like,
summer.
I have a secret I have to say out
I
loud.
know. I know. But then when I made that decision, I wasn't in a place where I could move. So I was like, okay, in the fall. And then I got this job as a production designer for this feature film that was supposed to shoot in October.
Right.
So, and then I had another job in September that was out here. And so it was like, okay, well, I can't do anything before that. So,
Right.
and that'll be a good whatever. Well, then because of the strikes,
Right.
because of multiple reasons, that shoot kept getting pushed
Yeah.
until the end of March, beginning of April. And so until like it just kept getting pushed. So in my mind, I was like, well, I really can't do anything.
Right.
Until I do the shoot. And then I also was not able to really focus on a steady income.
Right.
Because I knew I'd be out of pocket for at least 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Doing this feature film. So I've been kind of passively waiting.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
For this film to be done. And now it is done, which is like a beautiful and there's always a bit of, for lack of a better term, postpartum after a production.
Yeah.
Because it's like, there's like so much that leads up to it.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, there's so much community and creativity. And then it's like you don't even have a minute to yourself often.
No.
And then there's just like nothing.
I liked everyone on this production. Aww. Everyone was so great. You know, like, so it was just such a lovely experience.
Yeah. And it sounded like they were so excited with the job that you did and that you nailed it.
They were. And I am too. I'm proud of what I did.
Yeah.
And they were appreciative. And so it was a beautiful thing. The worst part is afterwards when you have to return everything because it was a low budget. So
do you want to explain what maybe not everyone knows what?
Sure.
Yeah.
So
how
as
amazing you are.
Bless you. As a production designer, you're creating the entire visual, right? So on larger productions with lots of money,
that's a team.
Underneath the production designer, you have the art director, you have set dressers, you have props, you have and then then you have buyers, then you have there's
returners.
It's typically the largest department.
Yeah.
Typically. Of any movie, because there's so many. You think it's everything.
Well, so it's a visual medium, right? So besides the actors, you're picking out, you're helping everything else.
Thank you. So it was just me on this feature film. And then I did have the pleasure of, there was someone who is interested, a friend of the writers, who wants to get into production design, and is an architect by trade, all of it. Like, so a very brilliant, creative person, just with never been on a set before. So she was so helpful to me, but it was like, we got to explain and do and whatever. But I was so thankful to have her.
Oh, I bet. I bet.
Yeah, so thankful. And then my other friend would help me on like the load in and load out days when I needed more manual labor.
When you're bringing everything like to set. Guys.
To set. So
these are exhausting to make and they take forever.
Exhausting and so extra exhausting as the production designer set dresser because I shipped everything to my home and then I have to take everything to the set and then I have to bring it back home and then the majority of stuff I have to return. So then I have to package
and they just take everything back?
Almost, pretty much, yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. That's such a faff that I could never. I'm always impressed with your organizational skills. That's just something I'd rather lay on the floor. Like, that sounds so stressful to me.
I'm not going to say.
Logistics.
On a smaller scale, I enjoy it because it's like a simple puzzle. Right? It's just like, okay, I can organize this and then I'm done. You know, I'm like, look at the job I did. This was overwhelming.
Yes.
You know, this
and
was
Claire
so
does
much.
live in a lovely studio apartment, but it is a studio apartment.
It's not storage and studio, yet it becomes that.
That's a lot. It's a lot.
the amount of cardboard, because then I have to save all of the boxes that everything came in, because I don't know how, what I need to ship everything back.
Right.
And also just manually taking it back to different stores. I returned to Home Goods. I bought probably $1,400 worth of stuff. And on 3 different trips, I returned $800.
And are they ever like, ma'am, what are you doing?
This is why I go to big box stores, because they don't care.
Oh, I see.
Because they can resell shit.
Right.
They don't care. And often, the majority, especially from like Home Goods, and a lot of times from Amazon, if it's set decorating, I literally take it out, set it, and then pack it back up. Like, I'm not...
So, like, it barely gets touched.
Barely gets touched.
Right. It's not like we're returning panties.
Thank you so much. Panties is not on my return.
Can I tell you?
I don't want to know.
I just want your feedback on this experience.
Okay.
So when I did David Cross's film, fun fact about me is that this is going to be TMI for everyone, but one of my weird things as an actor is whenever I was acting and I'd be nervous and, it's like nervous, excited, right?
Yeah.
My nipples would be really hard. So
that was all of Friends. Jennifer Aniston and Courtney Cox's nipples were hard the whole time.
And it was like, when you're younger, like I got very used to it, but you always have, like, depending on the level, usually it's like the wardrobe people come over and like, we'll give you a different bra, or like put a nipple cover, or like put some toilet paper in there. Like, the amount of every once in a while a weird sound guy in a small set that had to be like, it's distracting. So I was like, whatever, my nipples are excited about being on film too.
Especially if you're the young and attractive one.
Oh my God.
Hyper.
Well, and it'd be like, I'm doing a commercial for Bed Bath & Beyond. Like, nipples are really not appropriate in this.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I get some like really thick silicone ones given to me on the set of Hits.
Nipple covers.
Nipple covers. That are probably expensive, like $25. Yeah. I don't know. They're nice. They're thick, whatever. But it's summer. I wear them every day for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And at the end, and they're not like, they're somewhere in between. They're not like disposable, but they're not. You know what I mean? And at the end, the wardrobe department asked for them back.
Yeah.
And it was like I wore them for 2 weeks. They were so sweaty and like
but like, if they're silicone, you can wash them.
But the part of it was it did not feel like it was a brand new package. I was like, what is happening? Like, Claire, why?
If anything,
what's the woman that has to wear those again?
It'll be used. They'll be used. Or maybe they just threw them out. But it's one of those things where it's like, you don't just let the people take anything.
You know what's so funny is I also did this big, it was like this really interesting, like a bunch of, it was like, I don't know, what's it called? Where you're doing training videos? I've been out of the game too long.
Industrial.
I did this huge industrial. It was so funny for this French company, and there was all these actors, and we had to memorize like monologues of like sales material that didn't really quite make sense. Like, the whole thing was crazy.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But then the end, it was all like brand new clothes from like wherever, like business class.
Sure.
At the end, she was like, if you want to look through and take whatever you want, we like can't return these, so it's fine. And I got to like go shopping in my wardrobe. Well, like, sometimes that happens.
That comes out because that was an industrial. That was company money.
Right, so they didn't care.
When you're doing a small film, that's
I don't know. This
money like, that's like trying to get.
I mean,
but anyway,
the David Cross film was like $2 million budget or something. I mean, what are they doing?
That's nothing.
I know, but like, really, what are we doing with nipple covers? Like, are we?
I'm just saying. I certainly can't argue with you, but I'm just saying, like, if it's company money, if it's whatever, it's like sometimes the budget is free enough that they can just.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, doesn't matter.
But you're right. She wanted them back, and I hope she threw them away.
Well, and some people were asking me if they could buy certain things from the set decoration because they really liked it.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't help it if I'm really good at my job. And
she has good taste. It may be boring and manly.
It may be boring, but it's good.
Oh, inside
jokes. I would always, so I would think about like, how much was it? I'd offer things for like half the price or whatever. Like, I could sell some of the but that's home decorations.
Right.
You know, like that's a little bit different. I didn't do costumes on this.
Oh, right.
I did not. That's
Thank
a different
God.
department. No, I couldn't have.
So
I would
people
have had
are
to have
buying
a
the
team.
set dressings. Cute.
Yeah. So
Good
that was fun.
job.
And
So
I still
chic.
had to return so much. So anywho, physically, and also being a solo production designer, usually you have people who are shopping and prepping for the next location or shoot, whatever. But I was having to do that in addition to being on set and working, like if things were moved or changed or what, you know, it's like having to step in, especially because we had food in a lot of scenes. So I had to like reset the food.
Oh, that's a pain. And are they eating?
Some of this, yeah.
Because is that a continuity person doing that though often?
Well, they're pointing it out, but I have to put the food.
Oh, right. Okay, good. I was like, you have to pay attention and put it back. Right.
Well, there is a script supervisor who pays attention to all of that.
Right.
To everything. Who is unbelievable. Like that job is the most important and also the most exhausting. Like it's...
Yeah.
But I adored the script supervisor on this. She was quite a treat. I was like, can you? There was a moment, if you follow me on Instagram, I'm sure you've seen this, but the most proud moment that I had was a part of the set decoration. I had these glass vases, some blue and green vases, and pure accident, it's bound to happen. The sound guy knocked over this green vase. And typically they were in the windows. So they were prominent, and in one shot, like it was behind this one actor, and we weren't done with that shot.
Oh no.
So the green, and this was, a lot of times on large budgets, you're buying multiples of almost everything, so that you can easily just swap it out. But obviously we couldn't do that. So I bought this vase at Home Goods, which if you know Home Goods, they rotate their shit quickly. And it had been on set for like a week. So I was like, fuck. So I ran to Home Goods and I found the same vase, but in blue.
Okay.
Not green. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to at least buy this because it's the same shape and size, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I'll just get this for the rest of today. Mm-hmm. And then, we can figure it out. So then I'm like searching online for the one and whatever. And of course, Home Goods has nothing online because they rotate their stuff so much.
Right.
So I then remembered this lovely thing called alcohol ink, which is, it's an ink that's used for glass. It is not water soluble.
How do you know about this?
Crafty and art and all of the things. Yeah.
Okay.
So I've never worked with it. I'm just aware of it. And so I was like, okay, what if
she's aware of alcohol ink, guys? She's aware of it.
That's what happens when you're just
good at everything.
Well, bless. So I go to the art supply store and I was like, I need yellow alcohol ink. And so she was like, I told her what I was doing, and she was like, well, let's look at the green. I was like, no, you're not going to add green to blue. You crazy.
No, it'll be teal.
Yeah. It's like, that's not
darker, maybe.
I needed like a bright green.
Yeah.
So anyhow, so I got the yellow. I put it on the blue that night, and it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect.
What are the odds that works so well? Incredible.
Listen, you gotta have a crafty mind. But I asked the script supervisor, I was like, can you pull up a photo? Because she's taking photos of this, like of every scene, so many of them, right?
Yes.
For consistency. And she pulled it up, and then we took a picture of the current, and it was like identical. And guess what I did? I returned that fucking green vase to Home Goods.
Yeah, you did. They didn't know. They didn't even know.
And it's on the outside of the vase. So it's not like... Also, if they put water in it, it would be fine because it's not water soluble.
Great.
So it can only be cleaned with alcohol.
It was made that way.
Exactly. Because there was one that was made that way. And I would have returned that one. So really, you're welcome, is what I'm saying.
So you nailed this shoot. It nearly killed you.
Yes, it just physically, and I was nervous going into it that I I knew that my biggest weakness was just my physical weakness and stamina and
to
health
be fair,
and
like,
all of that.
that's
It's
a
taxing on
big job
anyone.
for anyone. Yeah. And like, what are the hours you're getting to set at when?
Typically 7
Right. And
or
sometimes
6:30.
like last year, that's like when you were going to bed sometimes.
100%.
Yeah. So like
And then we're not done until 7.
Right. They're 12-hour days that are physical. Being on set is
were
exhausting.
Some days I would go to Home Goods, or I'd go someplace after that to like buy something for the next day. So it was physically, taxing. And then it's taken a week and a half to return everything.
Are you done?
I have a couple more today.
Okay.
A
Will
couple
that be
more
the
today.
end?
And then that's it.
Good.
Which the best thing in the whole world is that my friend is coming to visit. So
yes.
B, that means I got to get my apartment fucking clean.
Yeah.
So
you have to get out of there.
Everything is going to be out today, and then I do have cleaners scheduled for tomorrow.
Amazing.
Which I'm
that always
very
feels
excited
good.
about.
Always feels
but
good.
Anyway, it was lovely to have my birthday while working on set, because I love attention for my birthday. And so
if anyone follows Claire, you might notice that she likes attention for her birthday, as she does this thing every year called 12 Days of Claire, and honestly it's delightful. So
thank you so much.
You're definitely one of the people who likes attention, but it's deserved, and when you use it wisely.
I try not to be too much. I mean, I disappear for days and months, and
that's also not ideal.
Not great, but I try to do the 12 Days of Claire of like reflection and gratitude.
Yeah, where did this come from?
Memories. Well, I started back in, I want to say it was college, if not early 20s, and I actually would write a song to the tune of 12 Days of Christmas.
Do you remember any of the lyrics of the previous songs?
Certainly not.
Oh,
Certainly not.
Should you sing? Should you try to invent one and sing it right now?
Absolutely not. Not with the sinuses. Are you kidding me?
I mean, no one's expecting like some incredible vocal
No, we
range.
can just put that to bed right now. It's not going to happen. But I would I would write something with just like what the year was, just like.
So in college, you started to write songs every year around your birthday, just reflecting on the year?
Well, it's the 12 Days of Christmas.
Right.
So it's a very simple plug and play, like I wasn't writing a song. I was just putting in some lyrics.
You're like, obviously you're just doing that. Like, it's not a big deal. Everyone does stuff like this.
But then
Christmas song
once I like started working in the real world, I was doing nothing. And so it was like the client got mad at me. 5 clients mad. It's like, I can't. So then I stopped. You're welcome. I stopped doing that. And then with the Instagram, I said, you know what? It's time to make. And so I've been doing it for 6 plus 7, I don't know, 10 years. I don't know.
I love it.
How long?
I love it.
So it's fun because it's like I take the time to, more than anything, it's like, what am I going to post today? Yeah. AKA, what am I going to think about? What pictures am I going to look through? So I feel like it's a wonderful time to reflect. And it also happens to be about me. But no,
but you do it in a really beautiful way, and there's a lot of gratitude. And she wrote I did not expect, but she wrote a very lovely post about our friendship and working relationship that made me feel really lovely. But and it's a lot of really cute pictures of Claire growing up. So go to her Instagram. Old pictures. I know, it's the best. But if you want insight into Claire, it's very cute, very, very
and
sweet.
Grief and all sorts.
Yeah. Does it make you, do holidays and birthdays make you think about your mom always? Like, is that?
Thanksgiving for sure.
Yeah.
Makes me think of my mom and my sister, really. Thanksgiving was my mom's favorite holiday.
Yeah.
And my sister's birthday was on or around Thanksgiving. And mom died right after Thanksgiving.
Mm.
So that's the most important. My birthday, I think of them because of the 12 days.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, it's
Yeah.
like, I want to honor them.
That must be it. Like, my grandparents have passed and I was quite close to them, but like, that's what grandparents do. And you know what I mean?
Right.
They went in mostly, appropriate grandparent ways. It wasn't like tragic. I really can't imagine, especially so young, losing people like that. That probably never goes, you know what I mean? Like, you break up with someone, you get over it eventually. If you're a healthy person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, some people
Yeah.
don't, but for the most part you do, right?
Yeah.
But it's a grief that must grow with you.
It does. And it's ever changing.
Right.
It's ever changing.
That's interesting.
And that was something that I talked about this year in my 12 days, I think, with Mom, is like, I, reached a new level. It's been 23 years since Mom died.
Wow.
But it's like a new level of grief this year. Not worse or whatever. It's just a different level of like, all right, I need to release myself from this. And, over the last couple of years, which you've been helping me with.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't think you knew how, and I found this so interesting, and it makes sense how intertwined your New York experience and career, all of that was with your memory of your mom and her career and honoring her in that way.
There's no way that I could come to that realization until I came out and got more in tune with who I was, who I am, and who I want to be, and who I've been hiding.
Do you mind elaborating on that and saying what you mean a bit more?
No, for sure. I ran back into the closet. I wasn't fully out, but in my 20s, I was hooking up with anyone and everyone. I never really dated, but I didn't.
And you mean that in the way like bisexual?
Right. But back in my 20s and teens, it's like bisexual was a joke almost.
Yeah, I remember saying, it was like, that's not real.
It's not real. It's like you're kidding yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, there was listen, even Phoebe sang about it on Friends.
Really?
This is a Friends episode. Yeah, there's one of her silly songs, but one of the lines is that something bisexual, some people say they're just kidding themselves. So it's like it wasn't a real thing. There was no spectrum of sexuality growing up. Right.
No Kinsey scale. Well, there was, but we didn't know about it.
Right. So I found my curiosity with women, I was able to explore because it was under the view of men.
Right. So that's more socially acceptable.
It's more
performative.
Like we're fun and sexy.
It's
more exactly like guys like to watch girls kiss each other. So lesbians were okay, or like girl and girl hookup was totally fine because it's for the guy. It's hot.
Right. She's fun.
Right. So, but I still was I still wasn't fully open to, because I still was figuring out what the fuck was going on. And then Mom got sick and I just shut off all love and everything. And then my sister came out as a lesbian a couple years before she died, but she got into a relationship with a woman who was very toxic and manipulative. And so it didn't matter that it was a woman, but this person was horrible. And really, I'm going to say, ruined my sister's life and essentially killed her. Because she isolated her. She didn't let my sister, like, it was years of manipulation. And
was she a narcissist? Or do we even know?
Yeah, but I mean, she was truly like a cult leader.
Wow.
In the sense of like isolating from your family, like you do things in service of her. It was like, yeah. my sister's beliefs were changing,
Yeah.
but it was like watching it slowly over time. It truly was, I call it a cult of one, because it really, like when I watch cult documentaries, that behavior is exactly what happened.
Oh God, that's got to be so scary and heartbreaking to watch as a family.
So scary and heartbreaking.
And were they in New York? I don't remember.
They were in New York, but then when I moved back up here, they moved to Philadelphia.
That's got to be so. Yeah. So of course that also taints.
So the last thing I wanted to do after my mom was dead is stress my dad out. And I wasn't even thinking about me and I didn't date men. I didn't date anyone I was celibate for years in my 20s because of just
grief,
avoiding it, and grief. And and so then the idea of exploring that was too close to my sister.
Yeah.
It was too similar to my sister.
Yeah.
I didn't want to stress my dad out, but I also didn't want to be anything like her.
Right.
And so I really just shut that whole side of me down. And so it wasn't until it was right before the pandemic when I was like, Claire, you gotta start exploring this again. Like,
which
you've
was
got to.
Right. It's so interesting because when we met, you had that dating show.
Yeah.
You know, like, so you were making art kind of around dating and love.
Yeah.
No such thing as love.
Yeah.
Which we found out there is.
There is.
But it was funny because I remember working with both of you at one point and you both were like, you know what? I might want a relationship. And I was like, well, not for nothing. What do we think about hosting something called No Such Thing as Love?
Right.
And like talking about how that's not a thing. It was like, oh.
Right. We did shift at one point because we did the podcast for 3 years, I want to say. And I want to say after the first year, we changed the ending. Because before it was like, nope, no such thing as love, like,
right.
And then we changed it to like, is there? I don't know. We're going to find, we're trying to find it or whatever. So we did change it to slightly more optimistic. But, But yeah, it was, so I just, I started to come more to terms with it before the pandemic. And then during the pandemic, I just kind of shut down again, as so many people did. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, no, this is me. I really,
I remember you coming out.
Yeah. And I wanted to, I made it the smallest deal possible.
You did.
Because I didn't want it to be, because I'm like, no big deal. I've been with women. It's no big deal. But there was, now we have so much terminology around sexuality and so much acceptance, which is so wonderful. I'm so somewhat envious of the generations below so that they can, I'm not saying that it's fully accepted by everyone. I'm not saying it's not as, that it's easier or whatever.
It's more
but there's more language.
And
I think there's the whole idea of the difference between sexuality and romantic life. So like there's bisexuality and biromanticism. Yeah. So it's like, I like hooking up, but I wouldn't mind hooking up with a man, but I don't want to date a man.
Yeah.
You know, like it's a different animal.
Yeah. So complicated.
It's so complicated. And then also saying bi, a lot of people say bi, it's like, then bi means two, right? So it's male or female, which as we know, that is not all, right? So it's I'm very attracted to a lot of non-binary people. So I don't like saying bi because I feel like that's excluding them. So then so pansexual is essentially anybody, non-binary, trans, male, female, he, she, like all of the things. So it's like, okay, that's more of it. But anywho, I could not because I think I was just living in this world of trying to protect my dad from fear of me being similar to my sister.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be similar to my sister.
Yeah.
And so until I separated that connection between my queerness and my sister, I couldn't really see how I was living in this city until I became clear on who I was. And then that part was realizing how much of this city was just living for my mom and somewhat for my sister, in an alternate version of my sister, had she not gone down that path, because she was living here and loving life. You know, she loved New York as well. So I had to go through my own coming out and realization with my sexuality before I could realize that I'm living under the shadow of my mother. And actively avoiding being my sister. So now that that's all happened, it's like, I gotta go. I gotta get out of here. The problem that I'm having right now is my dad the idea of going to LA is the most troubling and concerning thing for my dad.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I'm afraid you're going to go all the way out there and just, forget about us. I'm like, well, first of all, it's also a plane ride. Like, it's not, there's literally.
Like, we're in the same country.
And like, sure, it's a little bit longer of a plane ride, but come on. And like, especially with the music business and whatever, there's so many flights to LA and Nashville.
Oh
like,
my God.
It's so many.
I think there's something in his generation. I remember my ex-in-laws, who are so lovely. They really had like a thing about not liking California that much either. And I remember because my ex-husband loved it and lived there for a while. And I think that was a little bit of a push-pull. But remember, he was like, you were out there and he was like, what did he say to you about going to a party or something? He's like, be careful at those LA parties.
Well, he was like, I mean, even your mom, there's just so many drugs out there. Like, you just got to be careful. And I was like, I'm sorry.
I live in New York.
I think that generation just equates like pot with
free love.
Everyone's like free love, smoking pot. When it's like people are doing coke on the street in New York.
Oh my God. You're like, a little bit of weed is the least of our problems.
Oh my gosh. Like everyone should be.
The kids are like in K-holes.
Like, I know, exactly. I'm like,
it's like full of ketamine and got things I've never even heard of at this point.
Right. And like when I was visiting back in October, it was like I saw a few friends that had moved out there in the last few years, and they were like, "Yeah, I hardly drink anymore."
Well,
like,
I know everyone's. Well,
no one really drinks. No, it's like so much healthier.
Yes, everyone's like going hiking. The funny thing, and this is, I don't know, is this funny? It's funny. It was a little funny to me. Mm-hmm. I hope no one takes offense to it. It felt like there was a subsection of people who were almost addicted to AA and recovery programs.
For sure.
Like, I knew people who were going to, and like, hey, addiction is real. AA, I know, has helped a lot of people. I think it's fabulous. But I felt like it was almost like cool to be going to like all the different kinds.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of people. And like, you know what? Whatever. Way to make community, a healthy way to make community.
Yeah.
If anything, we're erring on the side of like, we're all in like OA and AA and Al-Anon and right.
Well,
so
if you should tell her,
they're doing nothing but recovery together.
Recovery, it's a very big thing. And if you remember in Bridesmaids, Kristen Wiig's mother, the character, she's a huge part of AA, and she's never been addicted to anything. Like, she just goes because she likes the people. Like, she's not an alcoholic. She's like never had anything to drink, and yet she goes and then she tells everyone about it, and it's like, that's not the point.
I don't remember that, but well, I know it's true. One of my uncles had an alcohol abuse problem and like got sober through AA and had a really good experience. But he truly was like, and then I had to go because people stay in there for life. It's almost like you replace alcohol with recovery.
For sure.
And it like almost got to be too much. And I was like, I don't need this anymore. And like, some of you don't either. Is it?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like anything, right? Like I remember the first time I had to do when I was like healing my gut, I had to like really pare down my diet and take out alcohol and caffeine and everything. I watched like 8 seasons of Weeds in like 3 months. I replaced like eating fun things and drinking with Netflix. Like I think if you don't know what the bottom is, you're just going to try to put something else in there.
Just going to replace it. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to feel those feelings.
Yeah, no.
Thank you.
Or you have like, I certainly am not the most versed in this, nor am I a doctor, obviously, but I feel like I know it's shocking.
It's shocking.
It's shocking. But there
I should never make that noise on this podcast, probably.
It was a lot.
I'm sorry, guys.
I have to lower that volume. But I know someone who is sober, but she is an obsessive runner and triathlete and whatever. And it's like the behavior of doing things, like just that repetitive behavior and needing to like continually fixate on something can still remain. The hope is that it's just you're able to do that with something that is healthier for you.
Or just you can eventually find peace and be able to sit with yourself. I feel like that's maybe what we should. I mean, but you can get there. You can get there.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, my dad is very anti-LA because he doesn't know it.
Yeah.
And he knows New York. He's been here a gazillion times. I've lived here. My sister lived here. My mom lived here. Like, this might as well be Nashville to him. Like, he knows it. He doesn't know LA. It is a scary foreign land. He is also full of potheads. He is also, I'm noticing more and more as he's definitely aging more rapidly. I mean, he's 86, so it makes total sense.
Yeah, but that's appropriate.
I think that there is there's a world shrinkage as you get older. And so it's like there's more, I was watching something the other day talking about how older people will often repeat the same stories to you, and it's less to do with like their memory going. It's more of like they are just doing less and they want to connect with you, and this is all they have to share with you. Aww. So it's like a continuation of that, like, this is what I know, and so I'm going to share this with you. And so I think in this the world is getting smaller for him. So I think outside of that, of what he knows is 10 times scarier, right? Because he's being, like, he's always been an avid traveler and gone everywhere, but like he hasn't traveled really that much in the last few years.
Well, I mean, 86, that makes sense.
You're right, exactly. And so it's like, it's scarier. And I think it is, Dad and I are very codependent on each other. And so the idea of me going someplace that he doesn't know is very upsetting. Yeah. So it has less to do with, I mean, he talks about the drugs and the whatever. Like,
it's just fear.
Just part of this. Yeah. He's just scared. So for me, living my entire adult life, trying not to cause stress to my dad.
Puts you in a box.
I haven't come out. I didn't come out forever. I've always been trying to pretend that everything is A-okay. Now, for me, taking the biggest action that I need to take in my life is directly hurting my dad. Oh, but so it's fucking tough.
Oh God.
But I have to. Yes. Because something I realized the other day working with Ching. Yes. Something I realized the other day is I have to, because for the longest time I've been like, well, I'll just wait until Dad dies before I essentially live my life, right? In the most simplest of terms. Right. And I realized the other day that I need to in order to save myself and comfort myself when my dad dies, I need to have already started my life. Yes. And so part of that is being in LA. Yeah. And so I was doing this visualization with Ching, and it was like, okay, let's go through, like, what is it? Let's just head into the feeling of your dad's gone. Like your dad gets sick and goes, whatever. And I had the vision of me returning back to my home after dealing with all this, and my home in the sunshine.
Yeah.
In LA. It felt so soothing. And then I had a visualization of coming back specifically into this apartment, and it felt like £1,000,000.
Yeah.
And it was debilitating.
Wow.
And so it was like, okay, I have to start setting this up and getting ready, because inevitably he is going to pass. I don't know when it will be, but it will be sooner than later.
Mm-hmm.
It could be 10 years. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's still, I can't wait any longer.
Yeah.
And even though my move is going to be terrifying for him,
yeah,
I have to just forge ahead and thrive so that he sees I'm okay.
That's what I was going to say. And the thing is, you will thrive, and he will see you thriving and realize how much better it was and how much better off you are there. So there'll be a crunchy period. But honestly, sometimes this is going to sound bad, but like it may keep him alive longer worrying about your move. Until, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And give him purpose. Not that stressing him out is a purpose we want to give him, but
I know.
Yeah, I think, and the thing is, showing him how happy and settled you can be is going to be such a gift to him.
Yeah. And I talked to, you know me, my favorite subject is me.
I mean, you're so fascinating. I get it.
Thank you.
Remember when we found out she worked at Yellowstone? I mean, she's contains multitudes.
110 miles of shoreline. Indeed. I had a session with a psychic.
Claire loves a what would we
medium, a psychic.
Yeah, you love like a woo-woo practitioner.
I love, again, if they can tell me about me, why wouldn't I talk to them? Anywho, this is a psychic I have spoken with before.
Okay, this is a familiar psychic. This is one of your regs. It's part of your team.
She happens to live in Johannesburg, South Africa.
How very international you are with your team.
Thank you. But she was calling me out on a lot, which was good to hear. But she was like, you and your dad are just so codependent. She was like, staying in New York, you might as well just move home.
And I remember we talked about you doing that temporarily for a little while, and that is not something Claire is interested in doing. I will say it that. You're like,
Absolutely not. No, because it's not my dad. It's his wife's home.
Yeah.
And it's his wife's and everything.
And I think as an adult, living with your parents at a certain age just does not feel nice.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. It's tough. If it was my mom and dad, maybe it'd be a different energy, but it's not.
Yes.
So I don't necessarily. But anywho, lots happening. And
so you're feeling like now's the time. You're feeling ready to move.
I'm feeling finally ready. I feel free in a way, because truly I've just been saying for half the year, if not longer, well, I just have to wait until this film is shot. I just have to wait until this. Like, I can't do anything until we do the feature. I can't do anything. And so now that that's over, after this weekend, because I'm going to finish clearing my house of it, my friend will be here, and then I have nothing. It's like, okay, it's time. Yeah. Like, I'm going to actively be looking for jobs in LA.
Yeah. So, guys, if you know of any...
Yeah,
what kind? In production, in what else?
Production or project management.
Can we list all the good things you're at? Like, I think it's really interesting to be a creative, and also being an actor for a long time, or a comedian, or like stand up. You end up with a lot of really good tangential skills. Mm-hmm. So you do set design, you do intimacy coordination, you've done wardrobe, you also like had a real person job for an extended period of time.
And marketing and account
management. Know how to produce podcasts. You can like lightly use all kinds of great, like you can edit, and you can,
Yeah, I
What's
think
that dream? What's the dream? Let's put it
yeah,
out there.
something that I know yeah. There are things I'm like, oh, I could do that, but I just the things that I would be very good at doing
Yes.
and I would like to do
Yes.
is some sort of producing or project management, which is essentially the same thing.
Yes, you are very
in
good
a
at that.
company setting.
Yes.
For a production company
Mm-hmm.
or for an agency
Mm-hmm.
or something. So there is creative creation, but it's not a gig.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Yeah.
not just being hired for one job.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, you're consistently working there and the jobs come in.
Yes.
Um,
So production
yeah.
companies.
So production company or like an ad agency or things
Yeah.
like, you know, like,
Yeah.
even though a lot of times ad agencies hire out to production companies, but you know,
Mm-hmm.
there can be internal or yeah, that kind of, because it's tricky because it is like I have so many random things on my resume, but listen, as a projector,
Yes.
we are the advisors.
She is very good, guys. She's a great
So
advisor.
I feel like that kind of, I mean, project management's part of that producing. It's like, okay, well, let's make all this happen and let me suggest certain ways and whatever.
Maybe I should just grow my company bigger and you can project manage whatever it is that my company is called. I guess it's not film though. That's not your dream. You don't care about wellness as much.
I'm adjacent to wellness. It's not my dream. It's not my dream.
You're right. Okay. I won't do that for you. I tried.
Listen,
my best.
I know, and I appreciate it. And I want to help and be along for the ride, but I like
making movies.
I like, and this is such an overused word, but I fucking like storytelling.
I get it.
You know?
Yeah.
So people feel more like a little less lonely and more connected.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So that's,
and then of course like acting and comedy and commercials. She kills
obviously
first and
foremost acting and hosting.
Yeah.
But yeah. But
also, we need to get your podcast back and running.
I know.
We need to get you a producer. Guys, we also need a producer for Claire's podcast.
Yeah. I was going to talk to, and I need to talk to her, but again, I've been so overwhelmed with fucking boxes for Amazon and Home Goods, so I haven't been able to really, but there's someone that might be interested. So, yeah. So we'll see.
Exciting. So a lot of movement, which is
a lot of closure and movement, like a lot of like getting out of my way. And something that I think talked about before, but if not, I was prior to doing this feature, and also if you don't, maybe that term sounds silly, but there's either a short film or a feature film.
Yes. Yeah. No,
feature films are like movies that you're used to, right?
Yeah. Like longer, at least 80 minutes.
Right. So leading up to this, because I've become so stagnant and because I've done so much work internally and because so much of the work that I've done recently, some of the short films and other things that I was working on, I didn't feel challenged me a ton.
Yeah.
And I haven't been working and using my brain to its full capacity. I truly was starting to lose confidence in myself and really wondering if I had the abilities that I have had previously.
Yeah.
And so the complicated nature of managing this production design for this film and bless you, all the while also I'm directing a sketch show and just like my brain has been revived.
Yay!
And so while I was hesitant and scared before about like, I know I can still do that, right?
Yeah.
Now I know I can. And so I needed that confidence boost to really help
push yourself. Get me moving. That makes total sense. Yeah. I think, I get that. Like I didn't book my first movie until I made one.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, well, and I mean, it was a terrible one, the one we made, but like,
Sure. Doesn't
you
matter.
know, it was one of those things where it was like, oh, I can do this. And there we like
Yeah. Yeah.
cast people who were like real actors. Cause of course, like, when do I
Right.
not have imposter syndrome? But
Yeah.
it makes sense. And no, I feel like there's a general more like there's levity and energy that, and it's actually from, you know, being part of your, we're not going to call it a healing journey, your self exploration. What's a different word
Growth
to
spurt.
your growth spurt? Since I got 2021,
Mm-hmm.
it's so exciting and refreshing to see. Well, because I knew you pre-pandemic, so I've
Yeah.
been on set with Claire. She commands a room. She's so funny. I've watched you do a lot of jobs,
Mm-hmm.
and you are always incredible.
Thank
So
you.
it's hard to, and we all have these moments, right? So it's hard to see people, or I got to know you and saw behind the curtain and you're having a hard time. And it was like, girl, there's this whole other part of you that you forgot about. That's
Yeah.
incredible. And the cool thing, especially with the industry I used to be in that you're in, is even though these times are really hard where we're like pausing and doing the introspective work and healing things, it does actually make you so much better as an
Yeah.
artist and a creator and a
Oh, for
writer.
sure.
Oh
For
my God.
sure.
So like I just feel like you're just at the beginning of this beautiful next chapter in your career and your creative journey. That's a better journey to have, right? Your
There we go.
creative life that
Yeah.
is going to jump tremendously because of what has happened the past couple of years.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I have not lost confidence in my constitution, if you will, as you know, just like who I am as a person. I'm more confident than ever.
Yeah.
I think I was just starting to get stressed because I hadn't used my brain in a really complex set of
Yeah.
issues, management of that. Like I can do it for,
It was a big project.
So it's a big fucking project
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was
yeah,
scary, and I did it. So I'm like, oh yeah. Before the pandemic, I had no doubt I could do a gazillion things at once. Like I
Yeah,
was
and you
never
were.
concerned, and I was, but you know, I just hadn't stretched my brain to that level since.
I'm
So
excited. I think one of my most favorite things about this job is the longer term relationships I have with people, and really watching. Like I think I feel very grateful to witness and help support this trajectory of healing, of growth, of
yeah,
expansion, and it's awesome. Like I feel like we're just starting now again. Like we're
yeah,
starting, and I feel like, okay, I have my popcorn. Like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen?
right,
And it's gonna
yeah,
be. It's interesting. I think in the energy of this year, and I feel like a lot of people are. The forward momentum feels much stronger
so
than last
strong.
year,
Yeah, yes, very much so.
and there's just more like energy or creative energy coming through.
Yeah. I feel it obviously, but I do feel like my dear friend who's coming to visit this weekend, she just got a divorce. And
Tell
it
her
was
congratulations for me.
abso-fucking-lutely. And it's a very good
I just would like to
situation.
rebrand, even though it's
Yeah.
hard. And my ex husband's lovely, and I will forever love him. And he's part of it. It also can be wonderful. We don't always have to
Wonderful.
look at people and be like, "Oh, you're divorced." Tell her
I
congratulations.
never think that.
From
I
one
think if you're,
divorcee to another.
yeah, no, she realized, and listen, they've had their own issues. Everyone's had issues. She like a year plus ago, oh gosh, a year and a half ago, I guess at this point, she was like, I don't want to be married anymore. Like, I don't want to be. And so it wasn't like, of course it's been difficult. Of course it's been painful.
Right.
Of course there have been challenges. But there wasn't like it was as amicable as a couple egos I can deal with. But and like they still co-parent 50-50 and like it's all
That's
good.
harder.
It's just
That's harder. Yeah.
Right. But she's doing such a good job with it. And she, even since they, started the negotiation, so to speak, or the attorneys, like her life has already started turning around in the sense of like her freedom and everything. So anyway, I bring this up. First of all, I'm just so happy for her and so excited for her. But also I have this leftover, talk about something from the set. We had one of those like, I got like a garland that you would put the letters on to say happy birthday or whatever, but I had to get one for the set to make this funny thing. And so it's like the full alphabet. So
happy divorce.
I'm going to put happy new chapter.
Oh, cute.
Because I think it's for both of us.
Yeah. Oh, I love
so I'm going to do that and hang that up before she gets here.
You guys should do some sort of like witchy ritual or something.
Oh, we will.
Okay, I love that. You'll have to tell us what it is. Oh, yeah. I love that. That's so exciting. And this is like an old friend you've had for a while.
One of my oldest friends from college. Oh. I don't have really friends from high school or growing up. I have friends from summer camp, but because I left so young and whatever. So she's like truly one of my oldest friends.
Oh, that's going to be wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah. Well, how should we end this? I had so many things. I'm like, what's one step, or what's something you're grateful for, or what I feel like it's been an interesting few months for both of us in terms of like clarity and expansion. I guess what do you feel like you need? Yeah, go ahead.
I think the core of both of our transformations is our instincts.
Ooh.
You knew something was off with your body.
Yeah.
And I know I need to get out of here.
Yeah. Oh my God, are we saying over and over again, trust your gut?
I think that's what I'm saying.
I think
that's what you always say.
I think so. So what's one more way you can trust your gut this week, or that you aren't? Or everyone ask yourself this question. What's one way I can trust my gut today or this week, or lean into something that would, I think feel good, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What would that be?
Yeah. I know my next, what I need to really listen to for this next week plus.
Yes.
And this is not new information, but is my food intake and my alcohol intake, because these sinuses and just like physically, I don't want to get back into a bad pattern.
Yeah.
And also it's tricky when you're hanging out with friends, like you'll eat crap and whatever. So I know I'm going to give myself grace for that.
Yeah.
But I definitely don't want to let that continue to an extreme amount after, I'm so nervous. I've been so active mentally and physically for the last month, 6 weeks. And I'm so nervous that I'll fall back into complacency and overeating and sleeping poor hours and whatever. So I haven't gotten there, and it's like after my friend leaves, I want to just keep being good about that.
Is there anything I can do to support you in that, especially post her leaving next week?
Thank you for that. I think I wouldn't mind maybe after she leaves if we can have like a session.
Well, Claire, okay, this is behind the curtain. What do I tell you? You should make a standing one with me every week. Do it.
I know, but I don't, it's like sometimes whatever. But
you're also just the craziest, busiest lady in the world.
I can't. I don't even know what
happened. Let's schedule it after we get off this call. They don't need to hear our calendars.
No, but I would like a session specifically to talk about my steps.
Yeah.
Like really let's put priority list, let's put action list, as opposed to more emotional stuff, more of like, okay.
Yeah.
Because right now it's all a little overwhelming. And
of course.
So I would like to do that.
Let's put it in the books.
Okay.
When does she leave?
Monday morning.
Great. So next week we'll
Yeah.
have a session. I get it because moving to Portugal,
Yeah. It's a lot.
I'm not good at logistics. We know that. And I did it without a lawyer, which it's so many people, no one else does that. And they're all like, what? And I was like, oh, I don't
Yeah.
know. But I would look at the visa process and I would have to take breaks to lay down or cry because I would get so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, and like, luckily I was part of this Facebook group where it was a long list and it was an overwhelming list where one of the things I had to get fingerprints from the local police department.
Right.
Claire, I went in the Facebook group where all they did was like freak out about the fingertips not being, you didn't like, I don't know if these are older people and I guess your fingertips are not as like, pronounced anymore. So they were talking about they'd like wear gloves for a week and they all were ordering the specific type of hand cream and they stopped drinking alcohol and coffee. And I'm reading this the night before and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm drinking coffee. No one's going to be able to see.
Oh my God.
Like, I'm going to panic. I'm not going to get back in time. And I show up to the police department. And he's like, ma'am, your hands are so greasy.
So greasy. And
I was like,
also, like, what? Like,
I know.
If it's, I guess, to run through the system, but like also isn't the whole point of having them that if they identify you from that? So if your fingers are always like that, wouldn't they always?
It's like, I guess if you're more hydrated, if you're dehydrated, I guess you don't, sometimes it won't be a fingerprint that they'll approve. You'll have to go back. Like you won't even get one. So it's like, and they made it seem really hard to get like actual fingerprints. And I was
Wait a minute.
Panic.
Don't we just put ink on our fingers?
But
apparently it's troubled for some people. Yeah.
Near tears the night before. I was like at my parents being like, I've been drinking coffee, I've ruined my life. And I get to this cute little like local police station like Wiscasset, Maine, and they're like, ma'am, what is going on with your hands?
Let's wash your hands
like,
a few
this is
times.
Creepy and gross. And I was like, I just read on the internet that it would help. And there was no problem.
They're like, of course.
But I say that to say, I couldn't understand more. And I think that's a really great idea. And the only thing I want to offer you is I think this is a great idea and let it evolve, right? Because I think the other stressful thing is like creating this and then it changing. It's like, let's create a first draft of this and do one step at a time.
I am 100% on board with that.
Yeah.
Because God knows I know things fucking change.
Wait, and can I just tell you the delay I'm feeling in my whole body that you're asking me for a to-do list because there's so many things you want to do, you don't know where to get started? Like, can we just reflect about like a year ago where you were? And it was like we couldn't get you excited about anything. And I just want to say for everyone, like, this is a testament to like the work you've done. And I think we get into these periods, whether it's grief or frustration or not feeling well, where it just feels like it won't ever end.
Yeah.
And you're coming out on the other side and you've done the work and it's paid off. And I'm really excited and proud of you.
Thank you. I couldn't have done this without you.
Who knows? Maybe you would have done it better if you found someone who's like a little more.
Just accept.
I will. No, thank you. I appreciate that. Much like this, I couldn't have done it without you, and I continue to not be able to do it without you.
Well, hello. I'm here to help as much as I can. And may I say,
yes,
a very happy early birthday.
Thank you.
This will come out, I think, like the day after your birthday, but since we're recording a few days early, are you excited? Are you planning on doing anything special for yourself?
I decided because, and this again, like listening to my body, we all know I love a party, a dinner, a champagne, most importantly, a margarita.
Yep.
But this year, my body really was like, please, no, please, lady, no, thank you. No, thank you. So I was thinking about a lot of different ways to play it. But what I've been craving the most is quiet and rest and like nature and slowing down. So skipping town, going to Aracera, going to spa a bit and just be quiet and take it easy. And I was saying this recently to someone, like, I was like, this is probably the first birthday I won't be drinking alcohol besides my entire childhood.
Right.
I was like, wait, that's not true.
First
Not
half.
even close.
But like, since you could drink alcohol.
Yes.
Right.
But yeah, and
That sounds perfect.
Yeah, I think that I had so much fun last year. I feel like it's been really nice and it was so frustrating because knowing myself as well as I do, it's really frustrating. It's like, wait, everything I know to work has not really been working, which is why, again, I tell people, like, really listen to your body, trust your gut, because it was getting frustrating.
Yeah, frustrating.
I was feeling, and even though I still feel like crap and I'm tired, I now feel like myself again, but better. So spending more time just with me, and exploring, like, what do I get? What am I excited about doing and making, and who am I now? Yeah. As we are always evolving. That feels really fun as I climb to level 41.
Yeah, bitch.
We're doing levels now. It sounds cooler.
We're doing levels. It's been an honor to watch this as well.
Oh, well, thank you. Oh my God. It's probably been really quite the...
It's been a journey. It's been a journey for the observer as well.
Oh, you guys don't even know what Claire's had to witness. And I literally, like, hired her. I'm like, I really want you to help me with my business. We'll do a newsletter. And then a couple months in, I was like, a podcast. Like, help me strategize. And then very early on, it was just so much crying.
Listen, we had to go through different emotions.
We did, because I was so afraid of myself growing, all of the things. I don't know. But yeah, there was the amount of space that I hired you to
well, that was like, just friendship. I mean, that was friendship. You
like,
didn't hire me.
I'm paying you, but this is weird.
No.
I know you've definitely witnessed a transformation, and you've been a rock that I've really needed, and it's been wonderful. And I know I'm excited. This does feel like a starting off point for everyone. Yeah. For everyone. And I guess for me, to check in with my gut, I need to, especially through the next couple weeks of this, I think that continue to be gentle and give myself space. I'm like, I'm fine. Yeah. Because I can get really hard on myself and be like, I'm too sensitive, or like, I'm not doing enough. And it's like, no, my body's healing something.
Yeah.
My body's healing. And the slower I am these days, the more quiet I experience or give myself space for, the more beauty that I'm finding in life and from myself. So that feels right. So I want to lean into that further and give myself further permission to continue to trust and just slow down and be quiet. So for all of you out there, if any of that resonated, take it with you. If not, really take a minute to take a few deep breaths, check into your body, and think about, like, what is your gut whispering to you? What do you need to be doing more of? And as I've seen it with my own life, we're seeing it with Claire, I see it with clients, the more you can do that and honor yourself and know that you know what's best, your life will just become more beautiful. You will expand, you will heal, you will get clarity, you will find the right people. And I am actively doing my best to try to build the easiest, most user-friendly tool to help you with this, because it's really hard and scary. And as someone who has been in this space and preaches it to other people, I realized part of that fear was like, I need to practice what I preach even more. So I'm fully stepping into it, and I believe it. And it's already brought a lot more beauty into my life.
Ah,
beautiful. Thank you, Claire. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. No. Thank you.
No. Thank everyone, especially those who have been leaving beautiful reviews and rating. We love you. We have some exciting podcasts coming up, some great interviews, and you guys, like, there's some exciting stuff happening. Stay tuned. Claire's gonna move to LA and hit it big in Hollywood.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Hollywood's waiting.
It is.
I love it. Thank you. Love you. And happy birthday.
Thank you.